We are officially, and it's Freedom Friday today because we love doing our Freedom Fridays because we get the freedom to talk about whatever we doggone please. Don't we love
Nice.
that? Uh,
Yes.
we live in a unique world today. Isn't that the truth, right?
Amen.
And this beautiful lady that got to join me today, Miss HM, she is just an amazing gift and a leader in her lending industry in a beautiful town of, you're technically out of Palmdale or Lancaster.
Calm down.
Palmdale, yes. And how long, HM, have you been in the lending industry? What convinced you to join us today?
I've been in the industry since 1984.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, that's all. And I have always enjoyed what you do, and I'm an avid believer in coaching, and so I always want to support whatever you're doing, and that's why I joined you today.
And thank you so much. You are a living example of somebody that truly takes what they are provided and goes and puts it into action. And you are a living example of that, right?
Yep.
So I kindly asked you to join us today because the Freedom Friday is set up. We've been doing this for quite a long time now. And it really is to inspire our audience, to give them some different perceptions, to give them some awareness of the journey that our guest has been through, and to give them some joy and opportunity to see things from a different perspective, as I said. So tell us, what inspires you, the journey you've been on. What would you want to inspire somebody with? What's been something that's been very important in your journey? And you've experienced our Masters League competition, you've experienced our events. We're hoping you're able to join us in Gatlinburg next year. We're really excited to have you. And you joined us in Grass Valley, and they're thankfully somewhat out of the fire now. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a journey for them too. So share
Right.
whatever comes to mind. What's important for you to share today?
I think for me, it was having a mentor that encouraged coaching and having a mentor that encouraged reading, and just learning and growing. I think that's where the possibilities became wider for me. I didn't really know, I didn't really have an understanding of what was out there. And so, by reading, learning to learning that there was another way, I think that was probably the biggest thing for me.
That's a great statement. And it's so key because in the world we live in today, there's so many perceptions. And that was the other question. And then I'm going to ask you a couple others that I may not prepared you for, but because you're so powerful, you truly show up and you go to work. You've learned a lot over the years, right?
Yep.
And tell me what makes it the highest. How do you decide your highest priorities?
Well, I think if you've been coached at all, I think you know to to do out a life plan, and that was leading an inspired life set that tone for me, uh, and then having a coach that is the premise of their coaching is that you don't even get into coaching until you do your life plan and knowing what's most important. And so it was really easy from there. I'll take for an example, my mom's preparing for surgery, and she hates to go to the doctors. And when I did this life plan, one of the things, of course, I have God, I have my family, my children, my husband, but my parents were right up there with it. And so I made the commitment that no matter what's going on, no matter how busy I am here, I'm there for them.
Mhm.
And she called me Monday and said, "You maybe you shouldn't come down. It's just too much for you," because she's an hour away. And I told and I went with her a couple weeks ago, and I got really far behind, and she knows I had to work like a dog to get caught up. But I just told her, I'm like, this you don't like to go. I told you I'd be there, and I will be there, and I did, and it was fine. But there was no question. Loans can wait for a half a day while I go and take care of that. So
And that I adore that about you. You have really learned how to keep life balanced. You have really made it a priority for what matters for you, and you give back to your community. And and not to brag on you, but I think it's important for people to realize that you're not just doing a couple loans a month. I mean, you're an individual that's a high producer. And so when you're talking about, I had some loans back up, how many is that, just out of curiosity?
um, I've done this year already what I've done so last year I was at 48, and this year I'll be at 60, and I'm probably going to exceed that because things are so busy right now. I'm on target for closing 11 this month.
That's all, right?
Yeah, and 10 or 11 for next month already.
And
So
that's because of your commitment and your focus and your determination, not only to serve your client, because you're very particular about the clients you serve as well. And I love that. And so many people, when we get into our industries, whatever our industry is, we sometimes think we need to serve everybody. And that's not always the best. We've both learned the hard way in that, right?
right.
So along the way, you've learned how to be purposeful and proactive about who you serve, who you connect with. And then they all honor the fact that you also make your family, your home, your spiritual life, all the different pieces of you important.
Right.
And I think that's just so ridiculously valuable. So the final question, because I promised you I would be efficient with your time, thank you again, is what major perception have you had to overcome that you think people would get value, or that you just feel called to share today?
I think for me, it was, I'm an introvert by nature. And so for me, I always said, I'm not a salesperson. I don't belong out front. And my goal when I wanted to grow, once I got into the business, I wanted to be an underwriter, close the door, talk to no one, just me and my numbers. And I think overcoming that, and I read a few books. I saw Sally Hogstad. She talks about, who you truly are and embracing it. When I was able to do that, all bets off. I was trying to mimic all these type A guys, and I'm not a type A person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an organizer. I like to do files. Like I want to put it in order, and I want to have a system. And so I really embraced that a couple of years ago, and I wish I could have done that sooner.
That's so powerful. And I think that's one of the things you really valued about the MLC program is that it helped create some systems and structures that were little tools and little tweaks, but boy, you just ran with them. And I think that's just so powerful. So many people don't realize that there's nothing wrong with them. They just we get an opportunity to recognize our gifts, get powerful and purposeful with those gifts, and then allow ourselves to delegate and or determine what we don't want to keep, right?
Exactly. That is exactly it. Like I said, I was just trying so hard to be what they are, and I'm not one of those boys. I'm me, and to embrace that and just find, Tom Ferry said it last year. It's been kind of his chant over the last couple of years has been, find your tribe,
Right.
because it's like people that are going to work with like people. So
Gotta love that. And having been in the real estate industry, we know the fairy name, right? So, and they've all got their strengths and opportunities to share. And Tom's done an amazing job of making a presence, and he has a lot of wisdom and opportunity to share. And then we have our other individuals, like you said, that you find those tribes and the people, and you got to find that when you came out to the summit and got to meet with all the fun people that we have in our summits, because they're coming from a place of how do I lead at my highest potential, right? And you are a living example of that as well. So I thank you again for taking the time. Is there anything I forgot to ask you about? Anything you want to share in your territory that's important for your community to hear?
I don't think so. It's all
Just
good.
the beautiful you. I love it. You're a
Exactly.
gift. It's great to see you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. And anything I can be of help with in between, don't hesitate to holler. And meanwhile, we will thank everybody for joining us for Freedom Friday today, and we will see everyone again next Friday. And
Awesome.
thank you again, HM. Great guest as always.
Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.